Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Shared News from Home. We have lots of Bachelor tea and updates to discuss. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, and I'm joined today by Gabby Gonta and Mariah Davis. And we are going to be talking about last night's episode of The Bachelorette and taking a sneak peek on what is to come for next week, because next week on The Bachelorette, there is going to be a lot of drama with Thomas and Blake showing up, possibly. So we have a lot to discuss. But before we get into that, Gabby, I want to know what you thought of last night's episode.
Oh, it was such a good one. From the Carl drama, then to him leaving and Thomas sort of being the center of the drama. It was a lot, and there was some amazing deep moments too, like the guys' group date where they all got into some personal stories, and then even Michael's one-on-one where we got to learn a little bit more about him. Overall, I think it was a jam-packed episode with a lot of awesome moments. What about you, Mariah?
Yeah, I agree. I think there was the perfect combination of wholesome moments. We got to get to know all of these guys on such a deeper and more personal level, which made me fall in love with them. I'm sure it brought all of them together just a little bit more rather than just each guy with Katie. I think everyone formed a more solid bond based off of those deep conversations. But then, of course, we also got that like eating the popcorn drama moments that we all like. Let's be honest, we all love to see on The Bachelorette and The Bachelor. So I loved the drama. I loved the wholesomeness. Overall, last night's episode was probably my favorite out of, well, I guess there's only 3, but so far I can have a favorite and that's it.
Yeah, you can already have a favorite. 3 episodes. I thought it was really good. It was definitely really emotional. I think the first half of the episode, obviously there was that group date with Nick Viall where everyone kind of opened up about past trauma they experienced in their life, and Katie opened up, and that was super emotional as well. And then towards the end of the episode, it was kind of like the entire house just turns on Thomas. And in the sneak peek for next week's episode, we are going to see a lot more of that. Thomas has become public enemy number 1. But before we take some looks at next week's clips and react to them, we are going to be doing a Q&A at the end of today's live. So definitely submit some questions, submit some comments. And I do want to remind you guys to subscribe and ring the bell, like this video so you never miss out on any future Bachelorette updates and news. But let's take a look at this first clip. There's going to be a group date next week, and it's going to be super fun to check it out.
I'm so nervous. Love is pain.
Every day here is about stepping out of your comfort zone.
Wow. I can imagine being in that spot. I'm like, do not wax me. Like, that hurts. Mariah, if you don't mind sharing, I'm sure you've gotten your eyebrows waxed or whatever. Like, how are the men going to handle dealing with this next week?
Waxing is so painful. Like, I'm sorry. It is my least favorite thing to do because it really is so painful. So I can't imagine what these men are going through. Like, because men they have more hair and it's more coarse. So it's really they're not being dramatic either. I'm sure it really did hurt that bad. But I'm also I feel like this was Katie's idea. I'm loving that she is willing to put them through a little bit of torture. She's giving us an equal balance of wholesome moments, how we can get to know these guys more, and then really kind of funnier stuff. So I'm loving this. I love a good comedic element to the episodes. What do you think, Gabby?
No.
Yeah, this looks pretty brutal. I definitely feel for these guys. And I feel like men have a lower pain tolerance too, so it's just going to hurt them that much more. And I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of not fair. I feel like when it's the Bachelorette season, they really grill the guys every time. I think a few seasons ago, maybe it was Tayshia's, they did the simulator where it's you're pregnant or cramps or something like that, or you're going through labor. That's just mean. But I don't know. It makes
what
sense
does it have
me,
to
so
do?
I'm here for it.
It does, but what does it have to do with falling in love? If someone tried to wax my armpits, I would freak out. I literally wouldn't do it. So I don't really get the point of it. Maybe she wants to see how you handle pain. I'm sure there is some type of method behind the match for this, but it's going to make for good TV. So Gabby, you are definitely right. We're going to have a great episode, but we're going to keep reacting to this trailer because next week it is going to heat up with Thomas, officially the public enemy number one in the house. Maybe he wants to be the next Bachelor. Maybe he wants something else, some type of platform. So let's take a look at this next clip.
There's been a lot of drama regarding who's here for the right reason.
Thomas wants to be the Bachelor. He's willing to do anything to get to the top. I'm concerned. The dude is a terrible person.
Gabby, is Thomas a terrible person?
That is a great question. They're sure framing him up to seem that way. I love Trey in this moment. I think last week Trey had some of the best comments too, because he just gets like so animated and fumed when he's like talking about him. So I'm interested to see how more of these conversations go down. Obviously, all the guys are united against him. So I feel like they're just going to kind of like feed into that a little bit more. When the guys are talking behind Thomas's back, they're going to kind of, feed off of it more. So then they're going to get more heated. And even if they don't know what Thomas is doing behind the scenes or his real intentions, he is the target now, as we've been saying.
100%.
Yeah.
For sure. Do
Do
you think he'll be the next Bachelor,
agree.
Mariah?
No, I don't think that is going to be in his future. If that's something he wanted, he already like shot himself in the foot in that department. I don't think he's a terrible person, but then again, we're talking about next week's episode, and there could be some more juicy tea, some more kind of like questionable conversations that happen that would warrant somebody to classify him as a terrible person. Right now, yeah, I think he's shady. He's not the greatest and definitely not Bachelor material. But I wouldn't say he's a terrible person. That's really out there. I mean, at least he's honest, right?
Yeah, well, let's keep looking at this clip because it only gets more dramatic, and maybe we'll get some context into why he is, quote unquote, a terrible person.
They don't understand the way I feel when I look at you.
He may be manipulating Katie. He knows exactly what he's doing. He came here for a platform.
Wow. Like, all the guys are going in on him, and in one aspect, I totally understand. Like, the guys want to protect Katie. They want to make sure she's not being manipulated. But on the other aspect, it's like Katie has a crush on Thomas. He's gotten a group date rose. He's shared several kisses. I mean, not all the guys have kissed Katie yet. Like, Gabby, do you think they're too much in his relationship and they're just kind of like ganging up on him? Or do you think they actually have a point?
That is interesting. I think they do have a point, but like you said, since him and Katie do have a relationship and the connection is forming there, I think that's another reason for these guys to feel like threatened by Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Because sort of more with Carl, there was no ground to walk on. He really just started drama for no reason, and Katie didn't really have a thing for him, so she just let him go. But here, Thomas, he is a great sweet talker, and we can see in Katie's eyes that she's kind of falling for it a little bit because she probably doesn't see those other conversations that go on in the house. So I do feel like the guys are threatened by him, and that's kind of fueling their hate for him a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Mariah, what do you think about that?
I totally agree. I mean, I think it's interesting to see how the guys react, and they see right through it because, men know, like, just like women know when there's another woman who has like ulterior motives. I think men know as well because they can pick up on like how a man would act in this type of situation. So the fact that all of them are in agreement that Thomas is just a shady person and that he is being manipulative, I think just goes to show that there is truth to that. And especially watching him, like we mentioned in another episode, that Thomas knows exactly what to say to Katie because he knows that she has some types of feelings for him. He's obviously very attractive. They have shared those special moments that maybe some other guys in the house have not gotten to share with her. And I feel like he knows that he already has her in some way wrapped around his finger. So just watching him in this particular clip is like, he is so using that to his advantage, and all of the other guys see completely through him. I mean, I'm sure there is a little bit of like a threatening element there because she does have feelings for him, but she has feelings for several of the other guys, and you don't see everyone else like threatened by them necessarily. So I think it's very genuine in the fact that they know that he is not there for the right reasons.
Yeah, no one's bothering Greg or Michael A. I definitely think Thomas is very slimy, but I also feel like the guys are just like a little too involved. Like they might just be a little bit bored. I mean, we've talked about this before. When they are in the hotel, they don't have their phones, they don't have TV, magazine. They really have nothing to do but talk about each other all day, especially when Katie is on like another date. So I feel like Thomas is just getting like short end of the stick in a way, because this happens with big groups. People always like team up on one person and then everything just becomes so exaggerated. So I kind of feel for Thomas, but I also think he's slimy. But the story is going to continue, and we have another clip, another sneak peek of next week's episode. So let's take a look at it and then we'll discuss to see where it goes.
There's things being said about me. I don't care.
By the time she figures it out, it's gonna be too late.
She needs to know about this.
Wow. Okay. So it looks like somebody told Katie, this is just my interpretation. A few of the guys maybe told Katie that Thomas wasn't here for the right reasons. Thomas finds out. He goes to her hotel room door and knocks because he wants to talk to her. They're not at a rose ceremony. Also, love that sparkly dress. It's always so dramatic when one of the contestants go to like the door when they're not supposed to. So obviously he's trying to do damage control. But Gabby, will it work? Will the damage control work?
I think it really might, because last time we saw this happen where Thomas sort of felt like his conversation didn't go really well. He wanted to talk to her again, gain some more ground, and feel like he was in a little bit of a better spot. That kind of worked because he just knew exactly what to say, you know, all the right things to say to make Katie feel better. And, you know, that's what she wants to hear. She wants to hear that these guys are really here for her. And unlike someone like Carl, when he was like addressed with it, he had nothing to say. Or even like, who was the guy who left?
Cody.
He was like, Cody, yes. Like when she talked to Cody and was like, people are saying these things about you, like, what is your response? He just didn't say anything. But like, you know, different from that, Thomas knows all the right things to say. He knows how he's going to be able to back it up with examples. So I think for that reason, this might actually work out. Mariah, what do you think?
Completely agree. You know, we saw in the last episode, he had a conversation with her, and then I don't remember what word he used, like frazzled or whatever word he used. He felt unsettled or whatever. And so he went back to try and like climb out of the hole he felt he dug himself in. And it's like, if you do that, you know, he had time to kind of think about and orchestrate what he was going to say. And I feel like we're seeing this like total repetition from the last or this most recent episode. He is trying to dig himself out of this hole, and I agree with you, Gabby. I think that she's probably going to bite because she does have some existing feelings for him. And I'm sure like if you have feelings for somebody, and even if you're hearing like things about them that are bad and would normally completely turn you off to them, you're hopeful that they're wrong. So I can see like her giving him another week on the show just in the hopes that like everyone is wrong and that he'll turn out to be like better than what everyone saw. I feel like we see this every single season, regardless if it's The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. I keep thinking of Hannah Brown's season with Luke P. I think that was his name. Like nobody liked him, but she held out this hope that there was like actually this like really sweet and gentle person on the inside, and everyone was just having a hard time understanding him. So maybe we have another like Luke P situation on our hands.
Yeah,
possibly. I mean, Thomas is definitely a smooth talker. He knows what he's doing, and Katie likes him. As long as he doesn't come off desperate, I think that he kind of looks desperate in this one shot here. As long as he doesn't come up like desperate and like begging for her, then I think he might be able to kind of do some damage control, and maybe there will spark other drama in the house. And we have another clip of other drama in the house. I think Thomas is like the instigator of this, but it seems like everyone in the house is now arguing about this. It's spiraled out of control. So let's take a look at this next clip.
He doesn't deserve to be here.
Katie's not able to see the Thomas that we see. He's still here. Hey, don't yell at me. Shut up, bro.
There's no way back from this.
I feel so defeated.
So that was Aaron and then Andrew S., who are now yelling at each other. I think it was like probably over Thomas. That is Courtney in the first shot, and damn, Courtney is fire. We were so hard on him in the beginning because he spells his name with a Q, but Courtney, you need to go to paradise. But here we have all the guys kind of arguing. Is this all about Thomas now, Mariah, or do you think that there might be other issues in the house? You see, Aaron is involved, and Aaron has already been involved in other drama so far this season.
Aaron has been involved in all of the drama this season. And like, I like that he also kind of shares that like zero BS, I call it how I see it kind of mentality, because I somewhat appreciate those people. I'm not one of those people. I'm like, I guess I would choose to stay away from confrontation, but he's like, who do I need to confront kind of guy. And I love and hate it, but it's also like, why do you constantly feel the need to interject yourself in the drama? But I think this kind of dispute, it could be about something else, or maybe it stemmed from Thomas. I mean, I feel like I would be surprised on what else it could be over, because the guys have presented such a united front. When they are unhappy with somebody, they all agree on it. It's like they're all really come together on something. So I'm interested to see what it's about. I kind of feel like it would be about Thomas, and maybe like, if anything, they could be complaining because somebody brought something to Katie's attention and then it took away from like the group date, and maybe nobody, like more people didn't get to have a conversation with her because they brought it up, and maybe that was the dispute. I don't know. What do you think, Gabby?
Yeah, I think that's a great prediction, Mariah. I think it's definitely about Thomas, or about the fact that time was taken away from them and Katie. This is probably my favorite clip ever. It's just hilarious. I don't know. These guys just yelling at each other, and it's just like, don't yell at me, bro. Like, I don't know. It's super funny to see all of this go down with the guys in the house. So I'm excited mostly for this clip to come out next week.
Yeah, and honestly, I am so over talking about Thomas. This has become the Thomas show. So we're going to have to switch gears a little bit, because there may or may not be a surprise guest coming next week. So maybe an old friend of someone. So we have another clip. Ooh. There might be a new guy entering the house. So let's see if we can determine who it might be.
This is Katie's journey, and that journey is about to change. Someone from my past reached out to me.
Someone from Tayshia's past has reached out to her. Now, obviously, we all live on the internet. We probably know who it is, but Gabby, Mariah, let's pretend we don't know who it is. Who do you think that Tayshia could possibly be talking about? And is this a good idea for a new guy to enter in 4 episodes into the season, Gabby?
Well, I wish I could pretend I didn't know. But as we've talked about many times on Shared News here, we have been waiting for the moment that Blake Moynes shows up from Tayshia's season. And I think the most shocking part of this clip here is the fact that Tayshia is so connected to it. She's saying that he reached out to her specifically after he was on her season. We know he made it pretty far. They didn't really have a strong connection. I think his one-on-one with her was very late into the season, and that's when they realized they weren't, a match. So, but it seems like they're still good friends, which a lot of people are after coming off of this show. So I thought Blake was going to kind of show up like a Heather Martin situation out of the blue, wanted to date Katie, but not really connected to Tayshia. But now that she's a host, it does make sense that he kind of used that avenue, or at least that's the story they're going with here. Whether the producers kind of set it up, they're at least framing it as if Blake reached out to Tayshia, which I think is super interesting. Did you see this coming, Mariah?
I feel like I do expect there to be some surprise element, like it's going to be someone from a previous season come into play, because I feel like they do that pretty much every year, and it's always interesting, I guess, to see who it is, but it's not so much always interesting to watch it unfold, because like Heather Martin, it was super underwhelming. It was like not a surprise at all. Like, girl, you mean to tell me you weren't quarantined for like a month before coming on here? So it's most of the time kind of underwhelming, but I am excited that it's him. I mean, I see them together. I think she'll definitely keep him on. The guys might be upset about his presence, just because as we've seen in the past, like, the contestants are typically not in love with the idea of having more competition, but I love them together. I mean, I think it could be really interesting to watch it play out and see if there's a connection there.
I think Katie and Blake will have a lot in common, but I think it's going to be a little bit difficult for him coming in episode 4. The last time I can remember, like, someone on The Bachelorette coming, I know Nick Viall came in a few episodes deep, and all of the guys hated him. They made his life very miserable, and he ended up making it all the way to the final 2 because Caitlyn was very in love with him. So I think it's very possible that Katie will like Blake, But if all the guys in the house have like a problem with Blake, it's going to be a lot harder for them to kind of form their connection. We know that they're both known for being sex positive. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it goes down. And we have another sneak peek clip, the last one of what we can expect next week when Blake shows up.
And he's here.
This can't be real.
The drama continues.
Ooh.
This can't be, it is real. I'm glad that Tayshia, I guess Tayshia is giving the approval. I think we were talking about that a few weeks ago. We're like, is Tayshia going to have a problem? Is it going to be awkward between Tayshia and Blake? Seems like Tayshia is perfectly okay with this. Obviously, Gabby, you mentioned it's very produced, but it's still a show. We're still going to dish. So I think that Katie is going to be very surprised. But Mariah, do you think that Katie and Blake were talking before the show and that's kind of why he decided to come on? Or is it completely out of the blue?
I would have no proof to back up either opinion, but I'm going to go with no. Maybe they haven't spoken before. Maybe he just really liked Katie from Matt's season. And maybe this was his goal all along once he found out that she was going to be the Bachelorette, is to try and hop back on, whether that is for a second shot to be on camera or because he just really, really liked Katie and wanted to get to know her. But I see it working out. I mean, personally, wow, I'm looking at him. I really do think he's so handsome. I think she obviously is going to think he's handsome, especially because Katie said, like, she doesn't really have, like, one particular type. But I remember him being a real sweetheart on Tayshia's season. So I'm excited to see what kind of connection they have. And you know what I will say, too? I was thinking, from what we've seen in this clip so far, it looks like next week there is going to be some drama, and Katie is going to be emotional because of all of the Thomas drama. So I'm hoping that, like, Blake is a pleasant surprise. I hope he comes after the drama, though that's probably not going to be the case. Just so it's like, okay, you may have this shady, like, slimy guy on the show that you have feelings for and you don't know if you can trust him, but then you get someone like Blake come on and he's like a total angel, and it just gives you this like feeling of hope and like future possibilities. So I'm hoping that they save him kind of post drama so it can be like a refresher for her.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Blake and Katie were talking before this, but I could definitely see like other members of Bachelor Nation, their friends, or at least Blake's friends, being like, hey, Katie's going to be the Bachelorette next. Like, you guys have similar sense of humor. Like, I think you guys get along really well. You should try to meet her and go on the show. And so I think maybe his friends were the ones to kind of encourage him to do that once they heard she was going to be the Bachelorette. And then I think it all branched off from there.
I think that they actually did talk. I don't think they had like a whole conversation. I don't know if they FaceTimed or something, but I think that there probably was a little bit of flirty exchange, because if Blake was desperate to get back on the show, I'm sure he could have gotten on Bachelor in Paradise. Like, there's many rumors about Paradise. Apparently there's like 30, 40 people there. I'm sure Blake could have been there. So I think it takes a lot of guts to walk into Katie's season, possibly even halfway through the season, to try and pursue a relationship with her. So I will give it a props to Blake, and I hope that Katie gives him a chance. But we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear what you guys think of Blake showing up. What do you guys think of the Thomas drama? We're going to open it up to a little Q&A. If anyone has a question for us, if anyone has any opinions, we definitely want to read them and hear what you guys have to say. And before you guys do that, make sure you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe so you don't miss out on any Bachelor updates and news. We have been covering this season all season long, only episode 3, but I feel like we're all so invested already. It's probably one of the best seasons of all time, dare I say. Mariah, how do you think that this compares to previous Bachelorette seasons?
I am loving this season. I had that thought after wrapping up this last episode, was like, okay, I'm really loving this season. Like, we talked about that kind of group therapy session they had. We have not seen that before. And I think that's really special, especially after like the season we watched with Matt James. That was toxic, stressful to watch. Like, it was all negative. Like, there was no, like, I feel genuine love and connection. I mean, at least I didn't really pick up on that because it was so shadowed by all the drama. So far, I'm loving this season. I'm trying to compare it to other seasons. I mean, I love Tayshia's season just because I love her. Like, I'm a diehard Tayshia gal from day one. But honestly, Katie's probably one of my favorites just because I really like the way that she handles things. Like, she's no BS, she's no drama, and she's just entertaining to watch. And she has such a sweet, like, wholesome story, and she's very open and transparent about all that life has brought her. And I love that because she's very, very relatable. So far, loving this season. Definitely want to know what everyone thinks about Katie's season so far.
Yeah, so let's get into some of these opinions. Jessica says, Thomas, Cody, and Carl, 2 of 3 villains are out. Yes. Wow. Thomas, Cody, and Carl. We already have 3 possible villains. 2 of them are gone. I think that there will be more villains throughout the season. It seems like there always emerges a new villain every single week. Is there anyone else, Gabby, that you think maybe we should keep an eye out on besides Thomas?
I mean, I think Blake, I don't think he's going to be a villain per se, but I think he's going to be a target after he shows up in the house.
For sure.
So going to be keeping an eye out for that.
Oh, yeah. I think Blake will definitely be a target. I wonder who he's going to get along with like the other guys in the house, because he's going to need some friends. What is Natalie saying, Gabby?
She said Thomas is the Josh Murray of the season. Okay. Yeah, I could definitely see that. It seems like contestant types or like the character types definitely come up, in a reoccurring way on these seasons.
Well, they also look a lot alike, Thomas and Josh Murray, like their facial structures, their hair, like they really do look a lot alike. And I think that they remind everyone of each other. Obviously, they're getting compared to each other. So I can totally see that. But if he is the Josh Murray of the season, you need to remember that back in Andy's season, Josh won. He got Andy's final rose. They didn't last much longer after the show, but he still made it to the end. And there's no way that Katie is bringing Thomas all the way to the end. Mariah, you compared Thomas to Luke P. So Gabby, who are you going to compare Thomas to from another season?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Well, maybe like even Dale, because he was like the good looking one who thought he was gonna win and like obviously did, but just kind of having that cocky nature, I would say.
Okay, well then I guess Thomas is winning this season because I compare him to is a winner. So you know what? I guess Katie and Thomas happily ever after. Mariah, what is Nicholas saying?
Nicholas says Carl will be back soon. No. I mean, if he is, it's going to be like, oh my God, I'm going to make another Luke P reference. If he is, it's going to be it's going to be another Luke P like element where he just shows up unannounced, unwanted. But yes, I do feel like in the sense of Paradise, we could expect to see him there as well because he is a pot stirrer and Bachelor producers love to have a good pot stirrer. And honestly, we all do. Like, I'm not a fan of Carl, but I'd love to see him spark a little bit of tension in Paradise just because it's more fun to watch it unfold in Paradise than it is on The Bachelorette or Bachelor, just because I want to see more of like the love connections be formed. But yeah, I agree. I think we haven't seen the last of Carl.
No, Carl is definitely going to Paradise. Nothing's confirmed, but there's definitely rumors out there that he is in Paradise, and I'm sure he will be making waves. I'm not sure who I ship him with or if he will even get a rose in Paradise. I know there's been rumors that Queen Victoria is going to be there, Abigail, Jasenia, Chelsea. So there is a lot of great options in Paradise for Carl if he goes there, but I think he's going to have to get his act together if he wants to get one of the roses from one of the girls. And there is no way Carl is coming back on this season. He couldn't even say goodbye to Katie when he left. Like, he literally just left. I think he was going to give a speech, but then nobody really acknowledged him, and he kind of just awkwardly left. It's kind of sad. I feel like I've been there before in, like, a weird way. So, I don't know. Who's getting the next one-on-one date? That is a good question. I don't even think we saw that in the preview. I think that Blake should definitely get a one-on-one date sooner rather than later so Katie can decide if it's worth her time to, like, let him into the group and stuff. But other than that, maybe Andrew S. He seems like a front runner, and Courtney, maybe I would like to see him on a one-on-one date. Gabby, who do you think?
Yeah, I think those two are great picks. Or Trey. I just love Trey. Or Justin and his facial expressions. He's amazing. So I want to see more of him.
Justin. Yeah, Justin is definitely making waves. I think he is a front runner. Is there any other front runners you think Mariah, like, who do you think is like your top like 4 or 5 right now?
I would say I'm gonna draw a blank on their names. Who did she just have a one-on-one date with?
Michael A.
Michael A. Okay, yes. I think he, in my opinion, is the front runner just because on their one-on-one date, I feel like she kept saying, like in her private interviews, like she kept saying things that just really told us how great that date was to her and like how excited she is for their possible love story. And she was like crying during that little interview. So I feel like that was so strong. And you know what? I will say just a little bit of props to myself. I did kind of see them together. He was one of my predictions going far in before the show aired and we first like found out who all of the men were going to be. I think they have a solid connection. I think she is a person who really, really values and appreciates like people's stories and where they've come from, what they've experienced. And his, I think, really touches her in a big way. And I don't think it is threatening to her or unsettling to her in any way that he was previously married, that he was madly, madly in love with his wife, or that he has a child. I think all of those things make her more interested in him. So I'm going to say he's my front runner right now.
I mean, that's a great prediction because he came out of nowhere for me. I know they had a really good conversation on week 2, but then this week it obviously solidified it. I really thought John was going to go far. He was like in my top like 4 and he went home on this week's episode. So I'm honestly not the best at predicting these things, but I am really looking forward to seeing the rest of the season play out. I am very much team Greg. He's actually my favorite on the show right now. I also have a crush on him. So I am rooting for Greg, and we are going to wrap up things soon. Mariah, you told me who you like. I said who I like. Gabby, who is your number 1 front runner right now?
Mine is also Greg, and I also do want to say Andrew S. because I think we've seen some clips from him in future weeks, so I think he's going to rise in the ranks coming up here soon.
Yeah, I definitely agree too, and I think Justin will probably go far as well. But that is everything we have to share with you guys today. So let us know what you think. Comment down below. Even if you missed the live, you can still comment. Let us know who you think is your favorite on the show. Who's Katie going to pick? Who is your front runner? Who is going to Paradise? And before you go, don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell because we will be back for more Bachelorette news and updates soon. As always, I'm your host, Accurate Reality, and I was joined today by Gabby Gonta and Mariah Davis. Our social media handles are on the screen right now, so be sure to give us a follow and say hello. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.